Hey, this is Morris Washington, MTC Media here, Charlottesville, UVA, with a 59-47 win over Texas A&M. And when you imagine a 59-47 game in today's basketball, this looked every bit of a Tony Bennett, Buzz Williams type of game. And for those who know, they know. UVA's stat line is pretty interesting. Five guys in double digits. All the five guys was the starters. Absolutely, positively, no bench points whatsoever in this game. Dante Harris, the Georgetown transfer, did not play tonight. He had an injury. For Texas A&M, it was Henry Coleman III, 16 points, 14 rebounds. But what caught up with Texas A&M tonight, simply put, was they have a hard time shooting the ball as it is. They are not a very efficient three-point shooting team, and tonight it showed 4 for 23. But they are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. And that's how they get around that. Well, tonight, yes, they did have the offensive rebounds, 18 offensive rebounds for second chance points for 16 points. As Buzz Williams said at his post game, the difference ended up being the 16 turnovers. And that was something coming to this game that Texas A&M was good at. They were one of the better teams in the nation at turnover percentage on offense. I think they were like 23rd in the country. So for them to turn the ball over as much as they did tonight, 16 times, it was basically the only category outside of three-point shooting that they did not win. When you think about it, they made more free throws than UVA attempted. I mean, let's be for real. They did a good job on the boards. Out rebound UVA 42-30. But when you can't shoot the ball as it is, and then you turn the ball over, and Buzz Williams didn't want to use this as an excuse. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it's a reason. If you remember, they just played Iowa State where they came back from 24 points down. I think it was 24, 25 points down to win that game. This was a quick turnaround game. I believe that game was on Sunday. It was a quick turnaround game, Sunday or Monday. I can't remember. I think it was Sunday. Quick turnaround game. So you got to get the scout to the players on a unique opponent on the road after the game that they had against Iowa State. And, that's tough because when you play a team like UVA, that scout's important because UVA, you can't replicate what Tony Bennett does out here. But to the UVA side, they deserve a lot of credit because let me tell you something. They started really, really bowing up on the physicality Texas A&M brought in the first half. Now, when you really think about it, Texas A&M, I think they had 9 offensive rebounds in the first half, 7, 8, 9 offensive rebounds in the first half. UVA was up by 1 at halftime. And I think that they had taken the punches, the physicality that Texas A&M always brings. And I think they felt like going into the locker room that they handled it well. And then coming out the locker room, they scored, I believe it was 12 of the first 14 points of the second half was scored by Virginia. Now, they weren't incredibly efficient either, but this looks like a typical Virginia stat line. They shot for the game, they shot what? 41.5%. When you defend the way that they defend and you muck it up, the way that you muck it up, that's good enough for them against a team like Texas A&M, who is not going to be incredibly offensive efficient. So the other thing that wasn't mentioned in the press conference, I probably should have asked Coach Bennett, was in the second half, UVA tried to hit the offensive boards themselves. That does not mean that they had a bunch of success, but here's what they did. There were times where they had multiple possessions within a possession by challenging to get the offensive rebound. A&M knocked the ball out of bounds. They didn't get it clean. They didn't transition from defense to offense as quick. Those type of things. That was simply because they sent a couple guys to the boards, and that kind of slowed Texas A&M down a little bit. Kind of got them out the rhythm. And once A&M stopped making shots, things fell apart. Virginia didn't have to make shots, and for UVA to be able to take control of this game in the way they did in the final 20 minutes, man, it's like a boxing match. You always say you go to the body early because you're putting that in the bank for the later rounds. UVA and the way they played Texas A&M and the way they stood up to the physicality of Texas A&M early on, and to have a 27-26 lead at halftime, they had put all this stuff in the bank that when they came out in the second half, they came out in the second half of the fight to win the fight and to close it out. And they certainly in the late rounds going down there closed out the fight and came away with a good 12.9 conference win for UVA. So hey, look, we're gonna wrap it up here from Charlottesville. It's been a good night. Got to get back up the road. You'll see me again. I believe it's Saturday. You'll see me again. It will be Saturday. You'll at least see me at Georgetown TCU. I'm not sure if I'll have a game before that. We shall see. This is Marks Washington from ETC Media signing off from